everyone, it's Matkai here. I am no expert when it comes to relationships, but I've learned a lot over the years. So I figured I'd make a quick video today to help you discover some new relationship styles. Hopefully this is educational, but I am not an expert. I'm not a relationship coach. I am not a therapist, none of those things, but I just want to give you some real world thoughts on relationships and how they might work for you. I would say the two main relationship styles, from an umbrella term, would be monogamy and non-monogamy. Now, of course, vast majority of our culture thinks that monogamy is the only way, the default way. I'd like to encourage you to watch this video and see if you can discover something new. Of course, monogamy is fantastic for people that monogamy is fantastic for, but there are other options, and I think it would be really wonderful if going into dating, going into new relationships, we were open with each other about, like, do we want monogamy? Do we want non-monogamy? What kind of relationship style works for us? And are we open to changing it over time? Because a relationship could start monogamous and end up non-monogamous. A relationship could start non-monogamous and end up monogamous. There's so many versions, and I think that it's so important for us to communicate and discover what works for us. Now, I did mention this video is going to be completely unedited. I'm just going to talk and ramble, and hopefully we'll learn a few things together. So please jot down in the comments what your relationship style is, and if you learn anything from this video. Let's jump in. Monogamy, on the one side, would be considered you have a partner and you are romantically and sexually with that partner only. There is no deviating from that, and deviation from that would be considered cheating. And cheating, most people would consider that cheating is a bad thing. Cheating is lying, it's withholding information, it's a breach of trust. And most people would consider those elements not great. Then there's the other category, non-monogamy. In this category, we're not concerned with cheating in the same way. Although there can still be cheating in a non-monogamous relationship, it's not quite the same. We're going to discuss that in some detail going forward here. So there's two kind of umbrella terms, CNM and ENM. CNM is consensual non-monogamy. ENM is ethical non-monogamy. I prefer the term CNM, consensual non-monogamy, because consensual just means that the partners in the relationship are agreeing, that everyone is on the same page. Ethical non-monogamy, to me, is a way for people to potentially create a hierarchy. I think a lot of times people who are monogamous and people who are non-monogamous feel very strongly about their relationship type, and they almost want to impose it on other people. I think that it's very important that everyone chooses the relationship style that works for them. I think it's the most healthy, it's the most honest, it's the most well, I would say it's the most ethical, is to do what works for you, what works for your partner, and to have open discussions about these things. I think everyone should have these discussions with their partner, whether you're monogamous, non-monogamous, does not matter. I think you should have discussions about what works for us, what doesn't work for us, what feels healthy, what doesn't feel healthy, what are your desires, what are your wants, what are your needs, from both emotional and physical and sexual and just life as well, right? Just sort of hobbies or interests or etc. Language is another important thing to talk about. So talk about consensual non-monogamy, which is the term I'm going to use, but you could use either if you wish. There's a few different forms that fall under that umbrella. Of course, we have polyamory, which generally means having multiple loving romantic relationships. Typically, romance is an element of polyamory. It doesn't have to be, but it often is. That can be seen in the way of that you have perhaps a wife or a husband as well as a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It could also be you have two boyfriends or two girlfriends, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or there's many different versions of it, but the idea is that you have multiple relationships at the same time. Now, not to be confused with polygamy. Polygamy is not the same. Polygamy is when you're married to multiple spouses, which is illegal in many Western countries, but practiced regularly in other parts of the world. They're different in that way, right? And with polyamory, sometimes you can have a primary secondary, indicating that perhaps one relationship um, is higher on a hierarchy scale. Other people choose to keep it equal on a hierarchy scale. But for example, if you're married to someone and you also have a girlfriend, then or a boyfriend or a romantic partner that is perhaps someone you're not married to while you're also married to someone else, then essentially there's a hierarchy there. I think it'd be strange if you didn't acknowledge that there's some level of hierarchy if you're married to one person and not another. I mean, there's financial and legal implications to being married to someone, so certainly uh, that's a level of something for sure. Now, next is open relationships. Now, when people think of non-monogamy, open relationships is typically what they go to first. Often open relationships involve you keeping your main partner, but perhaps you have sex on the side, or perhaps you have relations of some kind on the side. It could include dating. Sometimes polyamory and open are crossing over each other. Sometimes they're quite separate. For some people, it's nope, I have my romantic partner and I just want to have sex on the side. And for other people, it's perhaps the opposite. For some people, it's perhaps both. For some people, it's companionship, and for some people, it's um, you know desires perhaps that your partner can't fulfill. There's also people, for example, that their partner is not able to have sex, or their partner is, for medical reasons, or perhaps for emotional reasons, or perhaps their partner is asexual, and so perhaps they seek sexual, romantic, coddling, could be anything. But open is kind of a broad term. Next, we have swinging. Now, swinging typically when couples do something together. So maybe that's a threesome. It could be a foursome. It could be that they meet up with another couple and have an opportunity to exchange partners. So it might not be necessarily a foursome. It might be more like, hey, you borrow my guy, I borrow your guy kind of thing. It can be group, it can be watching someone. So it could be your partner's having sex with someone and you're just watching. There's many versions of that as well. And then, of course, there's also what I like to call monogamish. You're mostly monogamous, but once in a while, maybe, the rules change. Perhaps, for example, you give a hall pass to your partner, or a hall pass would be that they can do something one time or for a specific amount of time. For example, maybe they're on vacation or something, and you want to say, yeah, when you're on vacation, don't worry about it. You're going on vacation for a week. You have your fun, but when you get back, then we'll be, monogamous again. Or perhaps the long distance relationship and the kind of thing where, hey, we've been apart for a very long time. Let's just both go have a little fun sexual night. We're still monogamous, but we're just gonna kind of do monogamish for a night, have a little fun and come back recharged sexually, perhaps. So the core principle of the monogamy is consent. Everyone involved knows what it is going on. There's honesty, there's transparency, um, there's a level of trust that's built by saying, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do," or "This is what our relationship is going to look like," um, and there's the element of no cheating. So in a consensual non-monogamous relationship, having sex with someone or being intimate with someone or going on a date, etc., may not be cheating if those rules are, outlined in your relationship agreement. Now, relationship agreement's a fun term. I actually think people should write relationship agreements. I think you could write it on paper. You could type it on the computer, sign it. It's a fun way of saying, you know what, these are the rules, and let's put it on paper. Let's be clear about it, and let's both keep a copy, in a drawer somewhere or on our phone or whatever, so that later, if we go, you know what, let's revisit this. Let's make new rules, or let's visit how maybe the certain part of the relationship doesn't really work for us or whatever. And for other couples, no rules is the best solution. So it really depends on you, and it depends on you as a unit, right? The relationship and how it works for you. Now, I want to be clear that even in a consensual non-monogamous relationship, there still can be cheating, right? Because if you agreed to certain terms, or if you agreed not to do things or to do things, etc., there could be cheating still. I think in general, there's less of that because I think that there's a lot of discussion happening typically. And so, yeah, it can potentially be quite useful. So I encourage you to do your own research. I'm not an expert, but I wanted to dive a little deeper into what those kind of non-monogamous relationships look like. Of course, I'm not diving super deep into the monogamous side. I think that most people understand what monogamy is, and I think most people consider it default. I encourage you, when you go on a date or you're on a dating app or whatever, I encourage you to ask people, do you think that monogamy is for you? Do you think that an open relationship or polyamory or whatever is for you? Or do you not know, and we'll figure it out together? I think that there's an element where we're more than happy to ask people about family, their pets, and quite frankly, we're even happy to ask people what sexual positions they like very early on in discussions when you're dating. But for some reason, we're not open to saying, hey, you like monogamy, you like consensual non-monogamy, you like polyamory, etc. So I think a level of openness, what kind of relationship powers for you, would be really helpful, really beneficial. So hopefully you guys got something useful out of this video. I know it's an unedited video where I just kind of talk. So we'll see what you guys think. Do you like this style? Would you rather I do a more structured video with graphics and all that, with editing and all that, with flashy bells and whistles and ding ding dongs and kinds of things? Or do you love just me talking off the cusp, on what I think? I'm curious, so let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, share with somebody, and make sure you do your own research, because obviously this information that I shared today is, as far as I know, factual. Um, I myself, I'll share my experience. It's off the cuff video, so I don't know if I'd get into this or not. Personally, I've done many relationship styles. I've done full monogamy. I've done I've done a version of polyamory, a version of an open relationship. I've definitely done swinging in the groups and threes and fours and everything you could imagine. I've done a monogamish at one point as well. So I think I've experienced probably all of them, or very close to it. Of course, I haven't experienced polygamy, but from the standpoint of others, I've experienced them all. And I think that I'm kind of glad that I did, because I think I'm discovering for myself now what it is I want. I think I lean more towards, uh, you know, perhaps somewhere in between polyamory and open relationship. I think emotionally, I like to have a partner. I think sexually, I'm definitely very, very, very open. I think that there's a lot of world and a lot of people to meet and a lot of people to explore. But at the same time, I think there's some beauty in having a partner that is, you're sort of one person that you're with, and you're build deep emotional bonds with. So I'm still discovering it for myself, and as I search for a partner myself, hopefully I'll discover further, and maybe my partner, whoever I end up with, will kind of guide me in a certain direction as well. Perhaps together we'll guide the relationship in a certain direction. Anyway, that's what I have to share with you today, and let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye. Thank you.